Texting and social media messages, quick and easy ways for teachers to communicate with their students outside the classroom.
Some education leaders say those messages need to be regulated to prevent them from becoming inappropriate. Tonight, News Channel 15's Alyssa Ivanson continues her 15 Finds Out investigation, School Guard. She discovers that those policies could open the door to legal issues.
Well, last night we showed you how some area school districts regulate electronic communication between teachers and students. Some have policies to police it, some don't. Well, you've been weighing in. In our Wayne.com poll, 71% of you think schools should require a parent or administrator to be copied on any message sent to a student via text or social media. Well, 15 Finds Out discovered a law that would require just that was actually in the State House last year, and a similar policy was struck down in Missouri. Tonight, we take a closer look at why controlling how teachers talk to students can be tricky. 8th grader Emma Black sits at the kitchen table working on her English homework, an assignment she got a reminder about on her cell phone.
I do like the texting better because it is right on my phone, and if I do forget my homework, I can just look at my text and see it there.
Her mom, Lori, got the same text.
I love it. I get to see all of the text messages that my daughter sees.
Emma's teacher uses an app called Remind. It allows teachers to send mass messages to students and parents.
It'll say the homework for the night and what we did maybe that day for the parents.
I want to be involved. I think my daughter at her age, I need to be involved in that conversation between her and her teacher.
It's not quite a regular text, though, because it's through an app. The students and parents cannot respond back, which is different from the text Lori's older son, Ethan, now a high school senior, would get from his football coach.
A lot of times they need the information right from the kids right then and there, and they need an answer back. I'm good with that.
But those messages were sent to the whole team, not private messages just between the coach and player. The app and group text, two examples of good electronic communication, according to Terry Abbott.
Take away the secrecies, take away that part of the problem.
Abbott, a former chief of staff for the U.S. Department of Education, tells 15 Finds Out districts should require all messages between teachers and students to have a third person copied, because he says private messages may start about schoolwork but can easily become inappropriate and lead to a sexual relationship.
There's plenty of opportunity for school districts to use electronic communication in a safe way, and districts ought to be looking quickly at that, and instead of allowing the kind of private and secret contact that we have going on right now.
Last year, a study tracked cases of a teacher accused or convicted of a sexual relationship with a student in 2014. Abbott says of the 782 cases across the country, more than a third involved social media. That's why Abbott says many districts and states like New Jersey, Michigan, Texas, and Colorado Springs are putting restrictions on any one-to-one teacher-student messages.
You're walking a fine line. There's a First Amendment issue.
Richard Clapp, CEO of Neola, a school policy consulting company, says in Missouri, courts struck down policies prohibiting social media communication between teachers and students.
I think there would have to be laws passed that would be empowering schools to be able to adopt such policies.
And there's no restrictions there legally, but it can be pretty slippery. Whenever we're communicating outside the zones of the school, we're putting ourselves at risk.
Indiana doesn't have a law requiring districts to make a policy addressing electronic communication, but the Department of Education does do good practices training and tells teachers to watch out for red flags.
Really what we're talking about is culture. You can have policies, but you have to have a culture to go with it. If you create a culture where we can still be colleagues, but we can hold one another accountable, I think that goes a lot farther than just something in writing.
And leaving up to themselves has not happened, so I think a state law would be better.
State Senator Dennis Cruz actually introduced a bill last year. It would have required electronic communication to be sent to parents and the school and to archive those messages for 2 years. But that bill never got a hearing.
They thought it might be too invasive and too prescriptive, and I think the schools actually wanted some flexibility. It's a pretty detailed bill, and I personally like it.
Cruz tells 15 Finds Out if he thinks the bill would get a hearing, he would introduce it again.
I think that would prevent these connections, which turn into affairs once in a while. I think it actually would nip it in the bud. I think it would stop that part of it. I mean, you can't stop the personal interaction at the school building. But, you know, if certain numbers of these start on the internet and texting and things, then I think it would nix that.
Until a law is passed, it's up to the districts to decide how to handle electronic communication and define the separation with students on social media.
There's no reason not to. It's just a protection for your kids. And, you know, the society we live in, your kids need as much protection as they can get.
Now, you can read all of Senator Cruz's bill from last year right now in this story on Wayne.com. And you can still see where your district falls on regulating how teachers and students communicate. Again, all the links to the area policies are posted in this story.
Incredible how you've showcased over the last several days how difficult it is to find an easy answer to this.
There really is not an easy answer. You can see solutions and you can see a problem in that solution, but it's certainly on the minds of a lot of people.
All right, thank you, Alyssa.